Welcome back, everybody, to Bite Size Thursday, a subsidiary of Slate Media. Subsidiary?
As Dickie said.
Sorry, subsidiary. We miss you, Dickie. Come back to us. Dickie, come back to us.
We will blame it all on him.
Now I'm even singing, and you know the number one rule of the Off Slate podcast room.
Dickie does not sing.
Dickie does not
sing. But you can sing.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, today we have a friend of the podcast, Drew, back with us to cover episode 2 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Greetings.
And that's Jared. What do we remember about this episode, guys? I remember it's Naruto AF.
You want to go?
No, my memory of this one's a little hazy. I remember being so in shock from the way the first one ended. It's like, well, I just have no expectations at all going into this.
And isn't that the best way?
It truly is, though.
If I recall, the entire episode is at Gideon's, League of Villain lair, and it's all, inner fighting, and Gideon gets ousted as leader, if I remember. Is it Matthew that takes over?
Yeah.
And, when you look at, audience reactions, I think it's usually the lowest because it's a setup episode for what's coming next, and it's in mostly one location, if I recall. So people were kind of like, what? And people who were also mad that it deviated from the source material were like, what am I watching? But I remember liking it because, again, it's doing heavy lifting for the other 6 episodes.
I do remember being like, what am I watching? But in the best way.
You're like, what am I watching?
What the heck is this? Why is he doing jutsu? He does several clone jutsu, and it's very Naruto.
What's that? Not Naruto. The thing, jutsu.
Yeah, it's the thing I can't do it because I have a gimp hand, but it's the this thing where they do the signs and.
Oh, okay.
And then Naruto has a bunch of clones around him.
Okay. All I know from Naruto is the funny run.
The weapons
they do that,
run.
They do that in this, too.
They do the funny run in this? Oh. I don't remember the funny run. I remember, is there rain?
That is something I was going to ask last week, and I didn't. Do we remember, did this drop all at once, or was this...
It dropped all at once. It actually dropped, just under 2 weeks before our Scott Pilgrim movie episode came out. It just so happened to line up that way. So we were topical.
For a hot second.
Yeah. It's just funny that we did not plan that. It just happened to come out in the wake of the show.
Well, and now we're kind of doing this as a celebration of the physical release of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, even though this is not going to come out around the time. I'm excited to watch that with commentary to see sort of the... I would hope that they would talk about why they decided to go that direction.
I think, didn't Brian Lee O'Malley say something about all 3 of the, not including the game, the 3 big interpretations of the comic, the movie, the show are all separate universes from each other. And I bet you that influenced why his reasons for deviating so far is so they are separate things that do different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm ready to watch.
Anyway, yeah, we all ready to watch A League of Their Own? Not the movie, although I would be happy to watch that too.
Just real quick, does this episode rule or does this episode suck?
It rules because it also has metric in it.
See, the correct answer was it hasn't started yet.
Oh.
That was a test.
I failed.
A Scott Pilgrim litmus test. I never thought I'd see the day. I would have failed that test. But you...
I should have passed that test.
Oh, we have fun.
Wah, wah, wah. Anyway, everybody ready?
Yeah.
Let's take off. Welcome back, everybody. We just watched episode 2 of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, A League of Their Own. And sadly, Tom Hanks was not there.
Oh, good old Jimmy. I think his name's Jimmy in the movie.
Anyway, what did we think of this?
As a preliminary thought, Metric is my favorite.
Yeah, I watched an interview with, I think, Emily Haynes, which, interestingly enough, like we talked about, they're credited separately. That's very interesting.
Very weird. Yeah, the end credits, it's Emily Haynes and Metric.
I wonder if she had a voice part beyond singing.
All I can think, it's one of two things. It was, I think, around the same time that this show came out that she was also pushing her solo album. So maybe it's something to do, like a cross-promotional thing with that. Or maybe it's just some obscure SAG rule. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Was there a SAG strike going on when this dropped?
Yeah, I think it was around this time. I know it was in 2023. So I think this dropped like right after. It was
November, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in 2023 for sure. It was the last strike. So
anyway, yeah, their rendition of that song is, to quote the kids, an absolute banger.
They do say that.
They do say that. Them Utes.
I, at the risk of repeating myself from the episode years ago at this point, Scott Pilgrim was, to my recollection, what introduced me to Metric in the first place, and I'm always glad to revisit them.
Was it really?
Yeah, as far as I can remember.
I'm trying to think if because I know them because of you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if no, you're right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
real quick for the normies, explain briefly who Metric is and what
Metric is a Canadian synth pop rock band.
There are a lot of things, but that broadly covers it. Yep. And they had Black Sheep on the soundtrack to the film, which Brie Larson did her own recording of that also appeared on the soundtrack, but only the deluxe version, and they both had their own independent success on the charts. So it gets a little muddled, but...
I think that they were... I was listening to some interview about this with Emily Haynes, and I think she made a joke about... that at the time, about Brie Larson charting with her song, so it was like, and so this time they let me come and sing the song.
That does sound familiar, yeah.
She's a fun person.
And you've both seen Metric together multiple times.
Several times.
The most recent was
last year.
Very
was it
recent.
Last year?
Yeah. Well, 2 years ago maybe, okay. But
that woman never stops moving when she gets on that stage. She gets on that stage and her legs just must be so tired.
The production of those shows remind me in a lot of ways of the production of these episodes. It's a lot of lights and movement.
Yeah.
And sometimes smoke machines.
That the first one that we went to, which I think was at the Fillmore.
That was on it was at Fillmore, FKA, the State Theater. You might know it from its appearance in hit films like Out of Sight. We saw them on the Synthetica tour, which was 2011, 2012.
Yeah, and they had that. It was like a grid behind them, but each of them was like an individual light. That was the sickest light show I think I've ever seen. No, back to Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Like we talked about in the beginning, it's a transition episode because no one knows what's happening at this point. We just watched it. Did they pulled Gideon off of the side of the building, right? He's not
Robot
dead.
One did.
Okay.
While holding its head with the other arm.
I fully expected, given the construction of some of those shots, that they were going to do a more overt Blade Runner nod, But I think that's definitely at least part of what they're going for with the general aesthetics.
But no Time to Die. James Bond, No Time to Die.
No time for movie.
Because it's a what is the thing what did he say? Like, put me out of my misery. He says, no, I'm going to keep you in your misery. Is that what Matthew said to him?
It was like, I'm going to pull you into your misery or something like that.
What was before? Are you questioning my methods? No, I'm answering your method. What?
That's not how grammar works.
Yeah. I think one of the best decisions that this series made was something that you don't really think about in the source material and the movie, is that outside of the twins, the exes don't really interact all that much, like at all. So in that first scene when they get to the skyscraper and you have Lucas Lee and Todd interacting, and you're like, and Jake, you said, I love these guys. And it's like, yeah, not only do we love these guys, we're actually seeing them interact because they know each other. And we're going to get 6 more episodes of interaction of characters. And that's one of the best parts of this show, is characters that wouldn't have interacted before interacting.
See, it's funny that you say that, because yes, all that you just said is true. And yes, I do love those 2 characters. I was actually talking about Chris Evans and Brandon Ruth. I wasn't talking about Lucas Lee and Todd.
Yeah, I know, because the voices are so ingrained into the character too. And so it's kind of hard to separate them.
All these years later, it's great that either the writers or the actors or both have such a feel for these characters that it's new situations, it's new dialogue, but it seems exactly like them. When you pick something up after so long of a break, you wonder if they can find that voice again, but they've done it.
I was going to pose that question, you guys, too. You guys said this all started with a table read. You're not talking about a table read of like the first episode of this. You're talking about like a table read of the movie, right?
Yes.
So I wonder how much of this was written before they started to see who they could get cast back, and if they wrote it kind of around people's schedules.
Just to fill in briefly, because I think that may have been a conversation off mic. During the pandemic, a lot of different celebrities for various causes and also just for funsies did all sorts of fun sort of Zoom conference things.
Community, and there's that Father the Bride one too.
Sure.
That also has Kieran Culkin, because
that's right.
He's the kid.
And in any case, one of the things they put together was a Scott Pilgrim table read, and I don't think they got nearly as many people back. I seem to remember there were some different choices made for, I don't remember who, but some people were unavailable, and they got creative with who read for who. But it was basically a straight read-through of the film script. But that sort of got everyone reconnected, and directly or indirectly led to this show. There was some hilarious side story relating to that too, where the table read came about, and this is stretching the limits of my memory, so I might be misremembering part of this, but the table read came about because Michael Cera, like a true lunatic, decided to text a response to something in a group text with the rest of the cast from the movie, but his response was like 8 years later. He just picks it up and responds to something one of them had said as though no time had passed at all. And apparently the rest of the chain was like a huge dog pile of like, what are you doing, you lunatic? But by the way, let's talk and do something together.
It's like when people on Facebook will comment on a post from like 10 years before, and then everyone on that post is like, what? Like, and the point is the joke. It's I'm commenting on something that's 10 years old on purpose, and everyone jumps in like, what are you doing? Right. So it's kind of like one of those. It's insane how a lot of projects, in the industry just come from 2 or more people saying like, hey, that'd be fun, and then they just do it. Like that's what you said. It sounds like that's just they all said, "Hey, that'd be fun to do again," and then wheels get turning. Brian Lee O'Malley and Edgar Wright and Ben David. What's his last name?
Grabinski, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, they all jump on board. And it's like, yeah, let's do it. And they created something that's unique and fun. And that's I think that's the uniqueness of it is what makes it memorable.
And in this circumstance, they're really doing it just for the love of the experience and the property, because when they shot the movie, some of these people had better name recognition than others, but now almost all of the members of the cast are just stratospheric levels famous.
Yeah. Oh, Brie Larson won an Oscar between the two projects even.
That's right.
Anna Kendrick got nominated, I think. No, she got nominated before the first movie, but still was up in the year. It was the year before.
And, so for all of them to take time out and come together for this project, and I don't remember any discussion of this, but I'd have to imagine they probably took significant pay cuts to be able to do this in a way that was within the Netflix budget, because I can't imagine they were throwing money at this.
Yeah. Oh, and this is even before Chris Evans was Cap. He might have been cast during, but it's the year before, I think, isn't it?
Are you talking about the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the movie. I think it was before he was.
Yeah,
he had been on screen.
It would have been
by like a year, but he was still in that like teen comedy era of his career. Because
I'm sorry, I think you mean he was in his Push era still.
Push. What is the movie? Is he in Not Another Teen Movie?
Yeah.
Is he the one that's got fruit in places?
Yes.
Okay, because they're making fun of Varsity Blues.
Yep.
Oh,
okay.
Sure.
So that was him. And then, of course, the Fantastic Four movies. He's playing a childish character. And then Cap is like, I remember when they cast him, I was like, the Human Torch guy? How is that going to... It was the same with Ant-Man, where it's like, Paul Rudd. It's funny how I say Ant-Man, because Edgar Wright has that whole connection to that first movie. But that was another thing where they cast Paul Rudd, and I was like, as Ant-Man, but then he does a good job. The movies aren't good, but he's likable. It's hard not to like Paul Rudd.
Controversial opinion. Sure.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is a good episode. I remember wondering where it was going, and then now that you know where it's going, it's you go into, okay, I'd forgotten about the funeral, but there are two big set pieces. We spend a good amount of time in both because this is setting up the rest of the show. We've got to have that downtime after he gets punched into two loonies and a dime, or whatever they call her, dime, I don't know. The reveal of that's what's in the casket. I think once they showed the casket, before showing what's in it, I go, that's right, they put the money in the open casket. That
So stupid, but so good.
Not as much to talk about on this episode because it's mostly set up, but I will say you go ahead.
I remember I was in such disbelief during this episode where it was like, okay, so he's not actually dead. Like, he can't be dead. The show bears his name. He can't. So I was like, okay, is he in the casket? Okay, is he going to show up in the limo? Okay, is he going to be the one that invited all the evil exes and now Scott's going to be evil or something? Okay.
Scott Pilgrim takes off. Episode 2, A League of Their Own, was Jake's waiting for Godot. You just keep waiting for him, and he never shows up.
Yep.
You know, Jake, now that you mention Evil Scott, I'm reminded one of the thoughts that I had when I first watched this was, oh, what they've done is they've killed off Scott, but now the Evil League, the person who invited all of them together is going to be Nega Scott.
That I would have bought that. I would have bought that for sure. I actually don't remember if Nega Scott is in here at all. It wouldn't make sense, I guess.
Not to my recollection, but again, I haven't watched it since it aired, so I could easily be wrong.
Quick sidebar on that. How do you feel about the movie handling Nega Scott? Because that's a huge part of his character in the comics, and then it's a gag. It's a funny gag.
I think
movie.
It's appropriate for the time frame of the movie and how the relationships are handled within the context of the movie, because you also have to remember that, well, one, that movie had a lot to do. It also came out. It was also being made before the final book was written fully. And originally that movie had Scott ending up with knives, which, to be absolutely perfectly honest with you, would have been a better ending for that movie, in my opinion.
It kind of does. Like, I'm kind of in the middle on both endings. It's kind of just got to choose. It feels like if he is with knives, she deserves better, and they're kind of both at the same place they started at. And I don't know if that's what the movie was going for.
I think it just tested poorly. I think they said that on the DVD.
Yeah, they had said. I think that might actually be what they said. Like, it feels like the movie was cyclical, and we wanted there to be the development, and so then when it tested poorly, they're like, okay, I think they reshot it like a couple months before the movie came out.
Now that you're saying that, I think I do remember them saying, like, if he ends up with her, it feels, like he cheated on her. No, she went back to him. But the way they handled it I don't want to say she says, oh, I'm better than you or anything like that, but like she kind of owns the fact that what he did is really shitty.
And isn't it? The knives in the movie doesn't progress beyond what book 2 knives, because she has that whole arc, and a whole year passes because, was it book 3 or 4? There's that time jump to the summer. Is that right? That sound right? There's
I don't remember timelines. I just remember book 4 is pivotal.
That's the backstory, because he doesn't ever remember what happened, or he misremembers things.
So, again, like I talked about in the first episode, or maybe when we started this, that 4th book is tragically cut from most of the media here, because that Lisa backstory informs so much of Scott's character and why he is the way that he is, that it almost, by comparison, makes the movie, and we'll see about this, but makes the movie seem kind of hollow. In fact, to the point where when they released the movie, if you remember, they did that web shorts series that was just the backstory.
Is that versus the animation? Is that the name?
I think
Scott
that's what it's called.
The animation? Does that sound right?
Yeah, that was what I remember it airing on one of the networks on sort of like a one-off thing.
So like Cartoon Network or something?
I think it's on the DVD too.
Maybe. In any case, they did fill it in some capacity outside the context of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's an interesting.
It's also my favorite book of the series, so I will fight for it until the cows come home.
Yeah, it is one of those parts of media where it's like, this is the turning point. This is where you shed light on everything they've been teasing to that point.
It's one of those things where it's like, I know why they cut it. I can see why they cut it, and what they came out of the other side of that is very, very good, and a couple of my favorite things in media. At the same time, I don't feel like we have the full character in any of those other separate things.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And the character in the comics and the character in the movie are very different. And a lot of that's because, like, Michael Cera doesn't play him like you'd think he would. And I remember people weren't happy about that casting. If I remember, I read into, like, fans were not happy with the casting because he was still in his dorkable phase.
Are you talking about fans of Michael Cera?
No, Scott Pilgrim fans.
I can't imagine Scott Pilgrim fans before that movie comes out.
That I remember the campaign leading up to the release of the movie, and that was sort of the running joke, is with that teaser poster where he's playing and he's got his head, he's all bent down like that. They're trying to obscure the fact that it's Michael Cera. It's like, they're the artist is getting ready to compose the setup of that poster. It's like, all right, Michael, hold the base there. All right, now tilt your head lower, a little lower. No, a little bit lower there.
It's the joke of someone's in a picture you don't like. Could you move to your left a little? a little more. That's good. And they're, way far away from the picture. Like, I'm not even in it. Perfect. It's that age-old gag.
Very much. So yeah, I remember from the time there was a lot of skepticism over whether he could pull it off, but frankly, I really can't see anyone else doing it now.
It's like that, and having the show too, it's like he kind of has become Scott Pilgrim. Whether people, if you want to call them purists of the source, I don't know if I'd say that, but what they think are purists, he is. A lot of these characters, if I were to, I think when I read the comics, I heard the voices from the movie, and then now since they're in the series, of course I'll hear that.
I don't know what voices I heard, because we read the comics before anything. I'm trying to remember.
Is it like that weird extension of your own voice you do when you read anything?
I do relate to Scott quite heavily. Not for the least of which being that, he has my bass.
You have his bass.
No, he has my bass.
That is true. You did buy your dream bass.
That actually, it was about 10 years after this came out that I bought but that accentuated the point to me that I need that bass. I want that bass. And I went and got that bass, his dream bass.
So what you're telling me is you saw it and you said, "It will be mine." Oh yes.
Basically,
it will be mine.
Basically.
Hey!
All right. That's all I got for A League of Their Own. Again, we got 6 more episodes, and this is setting things in motion.
We should stop talking about Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to check us out in the week, we'll of course be back next week with episode 3. What is episode 3 called, Jared?
Ramona Rents a Video.
Oh, I like this one. We'll be back with that next week. If you want to check us out before then, you can check us out on all the social media platforms. But Jared, tell us specifically where.
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, The Funny, TikTok, and Twitter. Take that, Musk. And you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and hey, if it's YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, ring that notification bell. Make sure you check us out and rate us on all those apps. And make sure you swing by our groovy website.
Hey. And then other than that, fellas, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's take off.